For making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it today. Today I wanted to talk to you about a headline that I saw come through that, there's been topics on it. People have been talking about it. And, does it make sense to pay? Does it not make sense to pay for assistance in filing your claim? And this article kind of dives into that a little bit. And I wanted to, and it tells a story, right? So wanted to jump into it, share that with you. Please hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend. Basically the bottom line on this stuff is if we can learn anything from anybody else, that just helps us as we move forward, right? So here we go. This headline is, some private companies charge hefty fees to help veterans with disability claims. It starts off here, when Glenn Jansen decided to file his claim with the VA for disability benefits, he dreaded the prospect of dealing with the federal bureaucracy and paperwork. Jansen, 57, lives in Portugal with his wife and has worked as a government contractor since leaving the Army in 2004. The Gulf War and Louisiana National Guard veteran wanted to put in a claim for tinnitus and back and shoulder problems from his years in the service, but he worried that trying to manage the process from overseas would be a nightmare. So, when another veteran, who's also a trusted friend, suggested he contact a private company, Trajector Medical, to handle the filing process for a fee, it seemed like a great solution. He called, and after skimming the company's contract, he signed up. That quick decision may cost him a bundle in both money and hassle. I was too trusting and I didn't really read what I signed, Jansen said. So note to self, right? Read it all the way through, ask some other people, get some other opinions before you sign up for anything that is going to be costing you money. More than a quarter of the United States, nearly 5 million veterans, so a quarter of the veterans, have a disability related to their military service, and they have various ways to file a claim for tax-free monthly disability payments. The Honoring Our Pact Act, enacted last August, made it easier for many veterans who had been exposed to burn pits and other toxic substances to qualify for health care and disability benefits. The law added more than 20 conditions, from cancers to chronic respiratory illnesses, that the VA now automatically assumes were caused by serving in Vietnam and the Gulf War or other postings. Veterans can apply on their own, filling out paperwork online, gathering and submitting their medical records, and undergoing a medical evaluation. They can also tap into a network of thousands of service organization representatives, claims agents, and attorneys who have been vetted and approved by the VA to aid veterans. Under federal rules, veterans who use accredited assisters can't be charged a penny for help filing their initial claim. If they subsequently want to appeal a VA decision, the agency limits how much the approved representatives can charge. So just so you know, that's why if you ever reach out to an attorney, they typically want you to go file a claim first, and then if there's any issues, then they'll go ahead and help you with the appeal, because they can't charge you for the initial claim. So that's why they push for you to go do it on your own, come back if you don't like the outcome. So the note here is, any accredited agency, Veteran Service Office, Veterans Claim Agent, attorney, you should never be charged from any of them for your initial claim. And really, any of the government agencies, you would never be charged for anything anyway, even doing the appeal. So, moving on. Unaccredited companies face no such restrictions. So if you're not accredited with the VA, and in fact, that's how you'll know typically, right? So if a company wants to charge you, it means they're not accredited with the VA. So just a kind of a side note. So unaccredited companies face no such restrictions, sometimes calling themselves medical consultants or coaches. These businesses advertise their fee-based services to veterans, suggesting they can provide quick turnaround times on claims and higher benefit checks than if the veteran chose a VA-approved representative. What we've seen are people signing away in advance a portion of the benefits that are due to them, said Jim Rice, Assistant Director of the Office of Service Member Affairs at the Federal Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's a mouthful. Regarding the practices of some of these companies, the CFPB and the VA jointly published a cautionary blog post in February noting reports that unscrupulous actors may have misled some veterans into paying hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, yeah, let's not do that. To be eligible for disability payments, veterans must have an injury or illness caused or worsened by their military service. The Department of Veterans Affairs assigns veterans a disability rating from 0 to 100%, depending on the degree of disability. A higher rating means a higher monthly payment. The contract that Jansen signed said he would pay Trajector Medical the equivalent of 5 times the amount of any increase in his monthly VA compensation, which is part of the basic billing structure. The company outlined in a 2022 congressional testimony when he was awarded 10% disability rating for tinnitus, the company billed $829, 5 times the monthly award of $165.92 for a 10% disability. When his rating was later increased to 40%, and just so you know, it wasn't for tinnitus, because tinnitus maximum is 10%, so that once the other conditions that they worked on got approved, right? So when his rating was later increased to 40%, the company informed him that he owed an additional $2,829.70, 5 times the monthly increase of $565.94. The problem was that the company had done virtually nothing to help him, Jansen said. At the very beginning of the process, he said, it sent him what he thought looked like 3 boilerplate paragraphs describing his injuries. All they provided was a cut and paste canned response in a VA form for me to submit. Jansen said of what the company supplied last July. In November, Jansen said after months passed with no word on his case or assistance from Trajector, Jansen contacted the company to cancel his contract but did not respond to his request, he said. On his own, Jansen said he scheduled appointments and flew back to the U.S. for medical evaluations in December and February. Also on his own, he said he filed secondary claims requesting an increase in disability rating because of insomnia and migraines related to his tinnitus. The VA denied his claims for back and shoulder injuries. It wasn't until Jansen was approved for a higher rating from the VA that he said he heard from Trajector again. The company, which he said sometimes referred to him as a battle buddy, sent him an email congratulating him on the new disability rating and billed him more than $2,800 for its assistance in obtaining it. I called Trajector and raised bloody hell, Jansen said. I will never pay this money. In March, Trajector agreed to waive its claim for the additional $2,829.70, but it still wants $829.60 for his initial rating. And a company representative told him during a telephone conversation it would start charging a 1% monthly late fee. Trajector declined a request to discuss its services and to comment on Jansen's case, but in a congressional testimony last year, Evan Simone, Trajector's general counsel, legal manager, said that private sector companies like Trajector meet an important and unfulfilled need that is not being met by existing free resources. Still, Jansen is not the only veteran who is unhappy with Trajector services. It holds an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, but dozens of complaints have been filed with the organization that describe similar experiences. Trajector has responded with variations of this comment. We have helped tens of thousands of veterans like you obtain the most accurate disability rating for their conditions. We apologize that you have not been satisfied with our customer service, or overall experience. Veterans organizations have grown increasingly concerned about activities of businesses not accredited by the VA promising such assistance. They are predatory companies that charge outrageous amounts to veterans to access their benefits, said Ryan Gallucci, Executive Director of the Washington, D.C. Office of Veterans of Foreign Wars, an accredited veterans service organization with more than 2,300 representatives worldwide. Gallucci made similar comments in his April 2022 Capitol Hill testimony about unaccredited assisters. Of the 280 complaints sent to the VA Office of General Counsel from 2018 to 2022, 40% were related to unaccredited individuals and organizations, according to Randall Noller, a VA spokesperson. Representatives for some unaccredited companies say most private operators are honorable and that the whole group is being targeted because of the activities of a few bad actors. Veteran Guardian VA Claim Consulting, another unaccredited company, has a similar billing structure to Trajector, charging clients a fee equal to 5 months' worth of any benefits increase they receive. It takes a holistic approach to helping veterans whose cases may be complicated because they left the military years ago, for example, or are hoping for an increase to their existing disability rating or receive compensation for other conditions related to their service, said Mark Christensen, the company's chief of staff. Veterans service organizations are well suited to help recently discharged veterans and file initial claims, which are typically straightforward, Christensen said, referring to accredited groups such as the VFW or Disabled American Veterans, but they may not be effective at managing subsequent claims. It may be faster to work with a private company as well, he said. Going through adjudication with the VA accredited lawyer takes many years, he said. We can take care of this in 6 months, he said. According to the VA, there is no statistically significant difference in the advantage number of days it takes any type of filer to complete a rating-related claim. I agree. When you file it, you file it. The VA is going to give zero preference to anybody. In the current fiscal year, unless you meet there's some certain criteria, right? So if you're in a financial hardship, provable, if you are homeless, if you are over a certain age, if you have a dire medical condition that is really life-threatening, those types of things the VA will process your claim quicker for. All right, moving on. Many of the Veteran Guardian's clients have gone the free route initially, according to Christensen. In any given month, 60% to 70% of the company's clients report they have used free services in the past, he said, but they often turn to his company to get a better disability rating or approval for secondary conditions. Prominent veterans groups like VFW, American Legion, DAV are pressing the passage of the Guard VA Benefits Act, which would rein in certain business practices by allowing the Veteran Affairs Secretary to impose criminal penalties on people who charge fees to help veterans file disability benefits claim without VA authorization. Veterans Guardian supports changes that would allow unaccredited companies like itself to charge for services at any point of the process, as well as place caps on fees and prohibitions on having doctors on the payroll or charging upfront fees. But the company doesn't support the GUARD Act. The VA has tried sending cease and desist letters to unaccredited companies that the VA found to be preying on veterans, said Diane Boyd, Executive Director of the National Organization of Veterans Advocates, which trains accredited attorneys and agents. The problem is that the VA only has authority to go after someone who's accredited, she said. Part of the intent of the GUARD Act is to give VA some teeth. And then that is the end of it. So a little long, but pretty good. And a couple points, right? One, maybe not all companies are bad companies. So I'll just throw that out there, right? So just because you're an unaccredited organization that assists veterans doesn't necessarily mean that is a bad company, right? There may be something there that is beneficial for you and your situation. Another piece of it is anything that you do with the VA is free from a Veteran Service Office, an accredited Veteran Service Officer, or accredited Veteran Service Representative. When you move over to the claim agent side, which is also accredited, and VA attorneys, which are also accredited, there's where you're going to start to see some fees, but only on anything after your initial claim. So the idea is for the people that typically charge on the accredited side, claims agents and attorneys, they won't take on an initial claim. They will make you go somewhere else and file your initial claim, and then they will help you if you need help after the fact. Now, the one thing I'll talk about with boilerplate stuff, anything that feels like it's just a copy-paste type of a thing is not good. Any sort of information that goes out that's just very canned and very, especially when filing a claim, might be a little bit funky, in my opinion. For me, everybody's situation is unique. Personally, that's what I think. There's a different nuance, there's a different circumstance, there's different evidence. Everything is different. And you need to be able to tie everything together into the file. Any question that you can come up with as you're reading through a claim, you need to be able to answer it favorably for you as the veteran within the claim, right? There should be no kind of question that goes off to no answer, right? So you need to loop everything back in your favor when you file your VA claim. And this is really important, and this is a piece that does take some effort on your side as the veteran or the organization that you're working with. I will also throw out that in my experience, typically your veteran service offices, your free solutions are a bit backlogged. And as a consequence to that, or because of that, or the reason that's happening is because a lot of them are underfunded. So whether it's a county veteran service office or state or whatever, they're underfunded. So now they have a limit on their staff. So now you have a limit on staff. Now they're backlogged. So now what happens as a consequence to that is you as the veteran have two things happening. One, your appointment gets pushed out. So instead of being able to come in next week, you're coming in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks from now. So you get that drag time. The next piece that happens to you, unfortunately, is guess what? We have an hour. Go. And that poses another issue because of the uniqueness of everybody's situation. You, as the veteran, want to be able to explain it so that way the person who's helping you can help to condense it and articulate it in the right way to be able to get that claim approved. Sometimes there's a lot of research that happens and so forth. So paying somebody to help you with that, I'm not going to judge that, but you shouldn't be overcharged for sure. And you shouldn't really, that's really, in my opinion, again, kind of a last resort. The more you can do yourself, you can file your claim yourself. You can do everything yourself if you feel competent and confident in doing so. The next step is use a free source, a free accredited source, and go that route. It is a people business, man. It's, people are people, and, you're not going to get the same service every place you go because people are just different people, right? So hopefully you got some good people around you that are helping. And then, in my opinion, my third route would be potentially a paid organization. It would definitely not be my first two. I would either file it myself or file it through a free source like a veteran service office, and go that route. That would be my suggestion. So, but I'm not, again, there is a place for it potentially, and it just depends on the circumstances, right? So with that, we'll go ahead and cut it now that I've pushed this out to almost 20 minutes. We'll just do one video today. Have a great one. I really appreciate you. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.